Hey guys, welcome to my SOFHAB review series, and this time I'll be covering the manga Serafu the End, finally, which you've already heard the review on the Garen Ikanose Catastrophe 16. And joining for this once again is Rascal Entertainment.
Hello!
Now this dark fantasy manga series is written by Takaya Kagami and illustrated by Yamamoto Yamamoto, and storyboards by Daisuke Furuya. So if you are familiar with it, the series is set in a world that allegedly comes to an end at the hands of a human-made virus ravaging the global population and leaving only children under the age of 13 alive. And during this time, the vampires emerge from the recesses of the earth, taking over, likely followed by age-old horrors of the dark, thought only to be a myth. But before we get started,
be sure to like, subscribe, and click the notification button on upcoming reviews, hacks, videos, and more.
Now this manga is still running. Currently has 32 volumes. It first began its run in September of 2012, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. So it's been over 10 years.
Yes, and it's dark fantasy, post-apocalyptic, and vampiric.
Yes, and believe it or not, we actually watched the anime first. Mm-hmm. And right now there's no continuation for it. We watched the first
24 episodes.
Right. And watched them online. I absolutely loved it. And wanted to check out the manga. And ended up reading the prequel, Catastrophe 16, before the regular manga.
Yes, and there's a light novel series as well. I'm really glad I waited to read the manga after having read Catastrophe 16 and seeing the anime. Now, the reason I ended up wanting to see the anime originally is because I saw Garen Ikanose. It's one of the very rare times that I've just watched an anime because of a hot guy. The good thing is that once we started watching it, the story was fantastic, and it was unlike anything we'd seen, and the anime itself ran April of 2015 to December of 2015. And you can see where so many of the anime and manga now got the inspiration or just took their characters from Seraph the End.
Yes, definitely. And we've read quite a few volumes of the manga. No, we have not caught up yet. And right now it won't be because there's still new volumes coming out. And it looks like people are still reading it. Because when you want to get something in the library, they're still saying copies in use. So much like Demon Slayer, it's still popular and still being read long after its first publishing.
So this particular story takes place 10 years after the Garen Ikanose spinoff, which gives you a whole lot of backstory that's not covered in this manga nor in the anime. So if you haven't read it, you need to read it, and you can also watch our coverage of it. It should be coming up now. But this is really a fantastic manga. It is spellbinding. It is interesting. And when it came out, it was very different. Now you've got so many other anime, 12 that we counted, they have either been inspired or just taken their characters directly from it. When you read it, you might say, oh, this is just like Demon Slayer, this is just like JJK, this is just like
fill in the blank, Black Clover,
like MAJ, but it's not. It was first.
Yeah, it was. It really was. And it's amazing. Every time you get further into the story, you start seeing more and more of what other animes took from it.
Now, what I thought was really interesting is learning that Takaya Kagami wrote not only Serafu the End manga and the light novel and the Garen Ikanose spinoff, and wrote for the anime all at the same time.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy to hear, all three at once.
But I think what was fantastic about that, and you pointed out, Rascal, is that you knew everything was canon and everything was going to match up, and not having someone else's ideas or versions in it.
Right, because we've seen where we've had spin-offs or prequels, and sometimes they're written by different people. They give permission to write for. And for some, they usually check in with the creator to make sure that they're line up with what their manga says, or make sure the characters are in character. And then you have other ones that you decide, no, I'm going to make this better, I'm going to make it the way I would want to read it, and then flannerizing all the characters, putting things that don't make sense, putting their own spin on it, or making characters unlikable because they don't like them, or put them on a pedestal because they like these characters more and deserve more credit. Luckily, no biasism in any of these.
True. Now, as of 2021, I don't know the current numbers. I'm sorry, I forgot to check. This manga has sold over 13 million copies. And
13
I'm sure
million?
Way more by now.
Yeah.
And, again, it's a great read. What I really like is when you start the manga, you're actually starting what happens in the anime. It's almost one-to-one. You get a little more information between the interactions of the characters. You see a little more that goes on than you see in some of the scenes in the anime, probably to save time.
Right.
But you're definitely getting close to a one-to-one on the actions that are happening. So far, we've read the first 6 mangas, and I can't wait to read the rest of them because it's got to be fantastic. And the covers themselves are beautiful, as you've been seeing. The covers are gorgeous.
Yes.
And again, you can see how other mangakas were inspired, especially the manhwa Solo Leveling. Looking at these covers, you can see what inspired them to have these beautiful colors and the depth and the vibrancy of their manga, and others have done the same.
Yes.
So it's just fantastic to read the father, and that's what I call him,
You're right.
of modern manga and
Yes.
anime, and his brilliant ideas, taking from lore, mythology, actually in information from the Bible,
Yes.
and then his own adaptation into creating characters that would be involved in the events that take place.
Right.
And just like in JJK, the culmination of 2 events is on October 31st and December 24th.
Right, which
so
is
again,
hilarious.
You know that these people read and watched Seraph at the end.
Yes. And that is probably one of the most fun things about reading it. You're just seeing how many people were inspired by this one thing. Much like with Dragon Ball and some other ones, you can tell what the author has read. And with other shows, you can tell what everybody has watched or read. And for this, usually for people when they hear vampires, the thing that haunts them is Twilight. And I think that's why when some hear about vampire anime or manga, they kind of don't chance it because they don't want to see Twilight ever again. But
or Castlevania also.
Right. And this is different from anything else. It's its own thing, its own take on vampires, not done in a tongue-in-cheek way, but just to make it different from other versions, especially when they have their process of turning people into vampires and the conditions, so they still may stand out from everything else.
And what stood out at the time this came out is in this universe, these people can make connections with demons, there's no other way to put it, and ask them for their power, and they take that power and put it into their weapons. Sound familiar?
Yes.
JJK, Demon Slayer, so on and so forth. And that's how they get stronger, and they're able to overtake the vampires. But there's a lot of espionage going on. There's some alliances that neither the humans nor the vampires on either side are aware of.
Right.
And then there are characters that were in the prequel that was written that are not in the actual manga. So
right.
At the end. And so you find out some of the characters who are in the weapons were actually humans.
Yes.
Who went to the dark side and who are no longer alive, but now they are embodying the weapons that they have.
Right.
And also, Demon Slayer with
yes.
Genya's gun.
Yes.
And yeah.
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
There's just so much twists and turns in this story. You really can't predict what happens next, even when you know that inspired other animes and mangas. It still surprises you.
So this manga was nominated for the 40th Kodansha Manga Award for Shonen in 2016. And it's gotten great reviews, and it definitely has a cult following and fans, because again, the manga is still running, 32 volumes, still being purchased, and the public libraries here in the U.S. finally made it available. For a couple of years, it wasn't available. We tried to get it after watching the anime, and it just wasn't happening.
Right.
And then Rascal decided to check, and lo and behold, available again, and I'm so happy because now I get to read it. It's quite pricey to buy them because they're charging us here anywhere from $13 to $15 a volume.
Mm-hmm.
So reading it, being able to read it for free is a blessing.
Right.
And a joy, and I'm very, very happy. So if you've read Seraph at the End or seen the anime, let us know what you think in the comments. If you read the light novels or the Catastrophe 16 or even played the video games, we really like to hear what you think as well. And if you haven't, you are sleeping on a great read. And again, when you read it, you have to read it in the context of it coming out in 2015, and it's not copying the other shows. The other shows have copied it.
Right.
And you get to see what inspired them and helped to make their works so great.
Right. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get updates on upcoming reviews and more types of videos.
Absolutely. And if you haven't already, visit Rascal Entertainment's channel. She's reached well over 1,000 videos. Got lots of arcs going on.
Yes.
And
so much more content. It got spoofs, it got the wish deleted scenes, and some other things on there too.
Yes, and some shout outs for some other channels you may be interested in checking out as well.
Right.
So thank you so much for watching, for subscribing, and for joining us for these reviews. Really appreciate you so much. And you are wonderful, and you make us happy.
Yes. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Rascal.
I'm Julie.
Have a fantastic day.
Continue to be happy, healthy, whole, and wonderful. See you next time.